Hello everyone, happy you could be here. Let's dive in. Sit at My Grave, Season 3, Ego's Death, Chapter 15. Easton's angered voice became increasingly louder as he stumped closer to where Reed was. With a slight jitter, Reed began going back to his room. He quickly shook out the initial surprise and focused on his goal. He got there before Easton and was about to push a chair against his bedroom door to keep it closed, thanks to having no lock. But the sound of a car pulling up halted him briefly. "Mom?" Reed questioned, thinking she had given in and came back. He went to check out of a small window. He saw a car, but it was unrecognizable. He frowned, thinking maybe one of his dad's friends were visiting, and left it alone. They would distract him, and that meant he didn't have to deal with Easton today. Reed went to his bed and laid down, turning his music back onto his earphones. Giving up on getting any more homework done, he closed his eyes, focusing on the music, trying to let the tensity of the day melt away. Arden gave a half wave to Carmela's dad after he was out of his car. He began trudging through the yard after he'd driven away. He was eager to get in and talk to Reed about everything that happened to him, but still felt a bit embarrassed about being home so early. He decided he would blow off some steam and ride his bike around a little first. Arden ran over, grabbing his bike from around the side of the house, and hopped on. He rode around their grass, a little in the street, in the short driveway they had. Thankfully, one of the cars were gone, giving him more room to move. "I'd even Gallon want to stay with me. I don't get it," Arden thought to himself. He kept being met with this disappointment, but he told himself not to get upset by it. It wasn't worth it. It just made him feel stupid for still thinking about it the way he did. As he rode around, still thinking of the events, he began feeling the heat of embarrassment and rejection start to build up in his eyes. Eventually, Arden left his bike laying half in the grass and half in the driveway. He wanted to refocus on other things before he went inside, so he grabbed his journal out of his backpack, leaving his backpack laying against the side of his house. He began scribbling down the events from his day, roughly rubbing his eyes before continuing writing, recalling how horrible, stupid, and rude all of his classmates were, along with Carmela's parents, and even Gallon. He walked away from his house, a little ways down the road. He found a nice shady tree to sit under while he wrote, trying to collect himself a bit, getting away from the loud sounds he'd heard from the TV in his house for a while. There's no way. Ugh. She's still gone. Bet that stupid hag is filling your head with all types of nonsense. What an idiot. She only listens when she isn't supposed to. Easton's slightly slurred speech became more vocal. He had the TV turned up loud to distract himself. He started getting back into his rants just from seeing the picture on the wall. He glanced at his door, hearing Easton getting loud again. He continued trying to ignore it. He flicked his hands in the air, following the melody of the song he listened to, even quietly singing along to it. Easton continued rambling in the back. He wanted to stop listening to those. They were the same, sober or not. Nothing to gain from them, or at least, he tried not to pay attention to it. It was annoying how wired he was to listen in, even when he didn't want to. He kept telling himself it was pointless. Easton didn't want to talk to him about whatever he was angry about, and he didn't need to interfere because it was just them at home. "What? And look at this! I've been nothing but nice to that boy. And look at what he does. I told him 1,000 times not to leave that bike out like that. I told him!" The anger in Easton's voice grew as he continued staring out at that bike through the window. Maybe tire tracks on his face will help him remember. Easton riled himself up further. The words barely left his mouth, and Reed was on his feet. His brain scanned over what he just said, along with how angry he sounded almost automatically. Arden's bike, he thought swiftly. He'd seen him tell Arden about putting it up. He'd even put it up himself when Arden forgot. The frustration in Easton's voice and where it was trailing didn't seem like he was going back to his room either. Reed went over quick, but in a rigid manner. He opened his bedroom door. A car came earlier. Arden's bike had been moved and left in a spot, which meant he was home. And by the sound and now looks of it, Easton was headed out too. Reed caught a malicious look in his dad's eyes that gave him a pit in his stomach. The fact that he looked at him and didn't get angry he was out of his room automatically just told him what he needed to know. He didn't care if it was his paranoia, or if he was getting himself into trouble. He had to do something.
I had no idea.
Where are you going?
No idea.
Were the first words out of Reed's mouth as he hesitantly approached Easton. But the way he was marching towards the door, the look in his eyes, and the heat his body gave off, it made him sick to speak to him. But he had to. Arden was home, he was sure of it, and he'd never experienced this. He was sure Easton was going to find him, but he was determined to make sure his threats to Arden remained empty. Don't ask me any questions. Walk back in your room unless you want me to throw you in there, Easton barked at him, a twisted snarl on his face. Reed backed up, watching as Easton grabbed the door handle. Things seemed to slow down. Could almost see the fear and shock in Arden's face before anything happened. He watched as Easton opened his mouth to scream his name. Without thinking, Reed grabbed the arm Easton had extended towards the doorknob. He hadn't even considered the outcome for himself. He'd been thinking of his own past fears and how he didn't want Arden to experience it. He was just a kid. Besides the screaming Easton would do and traumatize Arden, he questioned how much further Easton could go, being tipsy like he was. Easton's attention shot to Reed quickly. His stare was so sharp, Reed could feel the cut just from the brief eye contact they shared. Easton looked down at Reed's hand on him like it was poison. He snatched his arm back and turned his body fully towards Reed's. "What do you think you're doing?" Easton screamed at him. I don't go outside, was all Reed could think to say in the moment. He couldn't just ask him not to go out and hurt Arden, but he wasn't above it if he thought it would help. "You have been screwing with me since you were born. You're always getting in my business, and now I've let you go too far. Here you are, a child, trying to tell a grown adult what he can and cannot do," Easton shouted, continued stalking after Reed, who refused to turn his back to him. I was just... Reed tried to explain himself, but Easton overpowered his weak explanations. "You were just getting in my way again," Easton shouted. He shoved Reed, causing him to fall back with a harsh thud. As his back slammed into the floor, his eyes shot open wide. It was a twist between expectation and shock, but he didn't lay around. He quickly scrambled up. Just as soon as his feet were planted on the ground, he was shoved over again. This time the impact knocked the air out of him. Easton wasn't a huge man. With the way things were going, he'd hopefully outgrow him. But as Easton towered over him now and put his hands on him, feet taller, pounds thicker, more defiant brawn, Reed was being painfully reminded the strength of a full-grown man compared to his. This was nothing like the kids he scrapped around with in school.